Regarding the importance of being a vegetarian or not and the spiritual path, actually in India it was Buddhism that, because of Buddhism, that more people in India today are vegetarian. You have to remember, in ancient cultures, India and in the West as well, in Judaism and many of the ancient cultures, they did animal sacrifice. In Vedic times, in ancient India, they did quite a bit of animal sacrifice. And later, because of the Upanishads and the direct teachings coming from the Upanishads, and especially because of the non-violent stress of Buddhism and Jainism, that India went much more towards vegetarianism. Concerning our own personal practice and whether it's important to be a vegetarian, it is important not to harm others, to practice non-violence as much as possible. But there are spiritual people who are not vegetarian. Dalai Lama, he wanted to be vegetarian, but his doctor told him he needed to eat meat. And there are many great Tibetan yogis from before in Tibet who were not vegetarian. And so you definitely can be an enlightened person and eat meat, but from my perspective there are karmic consequences involved, because it is a lot more of an energy put into creating an animal. It's higher up in the food chain, so there's a lot more energy and development of consciousness there. So I think we do have to consider the karmic consequences, but it's not absolutely essential. I personally feel the suffering of others, and I feel for the suffering of animals, and I don't feel the need to be a vegetarian. When Tibetan Buddhists came to India, they came to the conclusion that in Tibet they needed to eat, most people needed to eat meat, even though there were some yogis who were vegetarian. There's simply not much vegetables in Tibet, and in other places in the world where there are very cold climates, like the Arctic and such, people actually have to eat animals. But in this kind of climate of today, where we have mass consumerism and all sorts of foods are available to us, we have a lot more choice now. So it is recommended not to take the life of other conscious beings. Of course, plants are a being also, but they're much less evolved, and they don't have a mind, so the experience of pain is maybe only on a reactionary kind of level. I recommend as much as possible not to eat animals. Also, we have to think about the environmental consequences of eating animals. The beef industry is one of the main sources of the destruction of the planet, of the ecosystem. And I think it's 4 times as much grain can be grown than the amount of meat that is grown on that piece of land. So we could, if we stopped the beef industry and stopped eating at least red meat, mammals, then we would be able to feed the whole planet. Also, in olden times, hunter and gatherer societies many times did large-scale slash and burn methods. So the method of destroying large areas to flush out animals is a very ancient technique. And a lot of times we romanticize Aboriginal cultures and ancient cultures, saying that they live much more in harmony. But slash and burn techniques were practiced all over the world to clear large tracts of land by Aboriginal cultures. Even the Native American Indians destroyed, killed off the large animals such as the saber-toothed tiger and woolly mammoths in America. So it's happened throughout all of history. And now we are more conscious, hopefully. So with the awakening of our consciousness and the awakening of our buddhi, we have a much greater choice and a much greater responsibility, and should be an example unto others in how to live in a non-violent way. Thank you.